Hey y'all, so remember when we talked about how men don't like their wives, they don't like their girlfriends, they don't like their fiancés. They do not. Not all. So don't come at me with craziness, okay? Not all, but a lot of them do not like their partner. And we talked about that. Oh my goodness. From the book, What Men Don't Want Women to Know. And the authors of the book talked about that. They have gone on the job, different jobs, and heard men competing with each other. My wife is worse than your wife. She does this. She says this. But oh, you think your wife's bad? You ain't seen my wife. And it's like a competition, a weird competition to see whose woman is the worst. So logically, you would think, well, if women are so horrible, why don't you just be with men? Why don't you just be celibate? Why don't you just remain an incel for the rest of your life? Okay. No one is putting any type of weapon to your head and forcing you to be with a woman. But there's benefits in it for men. Okay. You're more likely to get a promotion on the job if you're married. You get a maid, a baby dispenser, a therapist, a cheerleader, a porn star, a cook. There's a whole lot of benefits for men. Not nearly as many benefits for women unless her man actually loves her. And those situations are few and far in between, which is sad, which is really, really sad. It's just a sad situation. And I'm going to post, I'm going to try to post the actual link that hopefully doesn't link to my video. It takes you to the actual video, which is called something like Men Boldly Confessing How Much They Hate Their Wives or something like that. And it's like, nobody forced you to do this. No one. And sometimes they behave so well that they don't act a fool until your wedding night. Smith and Doe are the authors of the book. They clearly talk about how much men can't stand women. Clearly talk about that. It's crazy. Nobody forced you to be with somebody that you don't like. You are the one who proposed to her. And so far as acting a fool on the wedding night, apparently he was one way before they got married. But after they got married, they were in a hotel and she ordered, uh, I don't remember how it goes, if it was waffles instead of pancakes or whatever it was. He used that as an opportunity to turn into the Incredible Hulk and fling her across the room. Let me explain you something, sweetheart. My ass would be in the lawyer's office so god dang fast you couldn't even blink your eyes as fast as I'd be in there. I want an annulment, and I'm going to research too. And I'm getting out of the hotel room. If I have the opportunity, I'm calling the cops. I'm packing up my shit. I'm getting out. I'm telling the cops what happened, filing a report. They may not know about annulment laws in the state, so you have to research it or talk to an attorney. Oh, my goodness. Excuse me. Jeez. A lot of attorneys will give you a consult at no charge. Some states, don't ask me why, because I have no idea. Some states will fight you on an annulment. You have to meet all these bullet points before you can, qualify for an annulment, which I think is asinine. But most laws are stupid anyway. We have a lack of laws. We have a lack of a criminal justice system where we're letting the criminals get away with everything and letting innocent people go to jail. I mean, everything is going backwards. And everybody involved in this supposedly has a college education. Well, if you're that dumb when you come out of college, I'm so glad I did not go. Okay. I went to school. I furthered my education, but it was I went to an ambulance service to receive my education. But oh, y'all be tripping. Um, One of the young ladies in the video said something really important that we don't really talk about much, and she's absolutely right. Hold on a second. I'm laying down and my body's going, it's time to go sleep. No, I'm busy. Stop it. Okay. It is very counterproductive to constantly tell boys, don't act like that. You're being a sissy. You better not cry. Ain't no boy of mine going to cry. You better be a man, even though he's a little boy, right? You better be a man. You're supposed to be a man of the house. And why do you stand like that? You're acting girly. Why are you crying? That's girly. Why do you throw like that? You're being a sissy. So in essence, you're indoctrinating to these little boys that the last thing you want to be is a girl. That's the last thing you want to be. So inadvertently, that teaches boys that girls and women are bad and men are good. You don't want to associate with them. That's the reason why I love supporting the cancer awareness. And my favorite slogan pertaining to that is fight like a girl. Because that has so many negative connotations. But look at the women who have fought cancer single-handedly. Look at the women who fought cancer multiple times and won. So being a girl is not always a bad thing. Men can't even handle the common cold or having the flu, and women push human beings out of their bodies. He got the flu. We got to call the priest in for last rites. He got to write up his will because he got the flu and he's going to die. Okay. Meanwhile, this woman has been in, having labor for how many goddamn flipping hours? And she still ain't close to pushing that kid out yet? And you think that being a girl is weak? Who holds up the family when you desert the family? Who takes care of everybody before she takes care of herself? You can't be weak and do that. Who pushes her feelings on the back burner so that she can be there for her child who's going through hell because he or she keeps being bullied in school and the teachers ain't doing shit about it, and you about to pop it off in that school because you ain't gonna have your kid be bullied. You can't go in. You gotta go in there like a mother bear protecting her cub. You're not gonna go in there like, can I talk to the principal because my child's being bullied and I don't like it? You're going to go in there raising hell. I want the principal and I want them now. Well, the only person we have available is the assistant principal. That's fine. I want to talk to that person now. You're going to be A mother bear, a grizzly bear. Y'all not protecting my child. Somebody hold my damn earrings up in here. Women are the strongest people there are. They hold up marriages by themselves. They get divorced. 70% of women push for a divorce because she's tired of your shit. That alone requires emotional strength. After she's done crying and doing all that, she's like, okay, that's it. She pulls up her sleeves and she starts making phone calls. I got to get me an attorney and I got to get rid of this mofo because I'm done. It's been 20 years too long. Should have left him alone. Never should have married him, but the damage is done. So now I have to fix it. That requires a strength that is unreal. You're going to be single. You're going to have to come up with extra money because that fool over there is not going to pay child support. I don't care what the judge said. Especially if they're a narcissist, they ain't going to pay nothing. I don't care what the judge told him to do. He'll pay it if and when he feels like it. And when it comes to a narcissist, which many of them are narcissists, when it comes to their money, they ain't paying squat diddly. They put themselves first. Always. Not all men do this, but many of them do. Okay? To initiate divorce is one of the hardest things you'll have to do. To raise kids by your damn self, even though you were married, now you got to be a single mom. You got to jump in the lion's den and come up with money somehow to make sure everybody gets fed. And you have to make sure that they get nutrients. They're growing, their bodies are developing, their bones are getting stronger and all this other. So they've got to have proper nutrients. They can't have hot dogs and mac and cheese every day, even though in a perfect world, that's what a kid would want. Mac and cheese, hot dogs, and pizza. Well, that's okay once in a while, but you're not going to get no nutrients off of that, okay? She's got to figure it out. You got to be strong in all of those scenarios. You got to be strong to go into labor, to push a kid out. You got to be strong when that kid comes out and has to stay in the NICU because the baby has too many problems. Women die, even in the year 2025, women die having kids. They may hemorrhage to death. Or something else went wrong that medical didn't pick up on, or whatever the case may be. Being a woman you cannot be a weakling and survive in the jungle, baby. You cannot. And maybe that's the real problem. Men know that women are strong as hell and they are envious. They are envious that women can bring forth life and they cannot. I've always said that. I think they're envious of that too. They're envious of a woman's strength. They're envious that other men are admiring their woman. She thinks she's all that. No, all you horn dogs think she's all that. That's why your tongue's hanging out the side of your mouth when she walks by. So, please, that requires strength too. Women are being objectified all the time. All the time. All the freaking time. She's not showing no cleavage. She don't have no Daisy Dukes on with her butt cheeks half hanging out of her shorts. She just dressed like a normal person. And dudes are like, okay? We see y'all. We don't pay you no mind because we got more important things to worry about than you and your stupidness. Okay? That being objectified requires a certain amount of strength too. What are you going to do? Curl up in a ball and cry because nobody sees you as a human being? You can do that sometimes. But you better learn how to ignore them and tune them out. They're going to stare. They're going to have their mouth hanging out. They're going to try to come up with some corny ass, oh, you must be in pain because, heaven's missing an angel right now and you fell to the earth. You must be in a lot of pain right now, or some other corny ass shit. Okay? And it could get cornier. Can I get some fries with that shake? Get your ass. Go get a hobby. Go do something productive, sir. Besides horn dogging. Go do something productive with yourself. But yeah, So you're like I said, you're in that was like really interesting for me to hear her say that. You teach boys that the last thing you want to be is a girl. Last thing you want to be is feminine. Baby, I'm here to tell you, when I look back at all the shit that I've been through in my childhood when I was vulnerable and I had no adults in my corner and I survived the unsurvivable, you can't be weak and survive all that. Because there's people that haven't been through half of what I've been through, 1/4 of what I've been through. And their parent, the only bad thing that happened when they were little is their parents got a divorce. And you know what happened as a result of that? The kid turned into a heroin addict because they couldn't handle their parents getting a divorce. I'm like, shit, I wish that was all I had to deal with. Please. We're extremely strong, and it pisses men off because they don't understand that. They can't come out and say that because that makes them look like a girl. Ain't nothing wrong with being a girl. She's tough as hell. Going through terrible, you know, extremely painful medical procedures because she's got breast cancer or she's got cervical cancer or whatever's going on with her. Not knowing if all these medicines that she's taking and the chemotherapy and radiation, if that's going to take her out of here. Women are strong as hell. And I think it makes men mad. But go to therapy. You can overcome that. Go to therapy. And I'm going to tell you what felt really good when I watched this video, and you will see this also. The men that are on there that love their wives, they don't understand and can't comprehend. Men, they're like, I can't stand her and I got to listen to her bitch and moan and I don't even want to go home. I want to work as much overtime as humanly possible. And the guys that love their wives are scratching their head like, what's wrong with you? I love my wife. That's my boo. She's my partner. She's the pepperoni on my pizza. We go together like peanut butter and jelly. I don't know what y'all's problem is. I can't wait to see her. You tripping. What's wrong with you? I can't get with that, bro. You know what I mean? So that's refreshing to see a couple of the men that are married and they don't hate their wives. It's quite the contrary. So that's really refreshing to see because obviously not every guy feels that way, obviously. And we talked about this before, how there's older men that are trying to teach the younger guys that don't act like a dog, trying to teach them how to objectify women. Did you see the ass on that one? Holy crap, she got a gigantic apple booty. I don't even think that's an apple. I think that's a watermelon. She got a big, ooh, child. Wouldn't you want to hit that? It was refreshing when I saw that video a ways back when the guys, the young guys, they're in their, I would say, 20s, early 20s. They don't play that objectification, objectifying women and talking about their body parts and older men trying to teach them to be a dog. Because here he is in his 40s and 50s and older, and he still acts like a stupid ass. Oh, look at the rack on that one. She's not a deer. What do you mean, rack? What's wrong with you? Wouldn't you want to have her legs wrapped around your neck? Look at that girl. Oh, the things I could do to her. And the young guys that they were doing that to walked away from them like, yeah, I can't get with that. I'm out. And one guy was yelling to the other guy, man, you wouldn't get with that? In other words, how come you're not being a dog like me? Come on, let's bark together. Roof, roof, roof. And homie was like, yeah, no, I wasn't raised like that. I'm not doing that. That takes a special kind of strength too. Because if all your friends act like that, or everybody you know acts like that towards women or girls, whatever the case is, it's time for you to change who you hang with. because that type of toxic mentality can be contagious. Before you know it, you acting stupid too. And then you kick yourself afterwards because you know that's not your nature to do that, but you kind of fell into the pit where everybody else is. So you have to separate from people who do not have similar thoughts to you, because their negativity and their objectification can cause you to start acting ways that's not normally you. That's why you have to change. You got to be real careful who you hang with, especially if you're young and you're impressionable. And it does take a certain strength for a young guy to say, yeah, I'm not, I don't do that. I was raised around, I got a lot of sisters, and my auntie and my mom. My mom's got a lot of sisters. I got a lot of aunts, and, you know, I've seen guys hurt them, and I'm not going to be responsible for someone else's pain. I wasn't raised like that, and I'm not down. So go ahead and do you. I'm out. And get prepared. Those young men who do that, we love you. Thank you so much. Your masculinity will be questioned. You're gonna be called, what are you, gay? You don't like women? Are you a queer? Simp? All these names, which is very childish. What are you gonna do? Throw your crayon at him next? You're acting like a child. Knock it off. Stop. You could throw whatever names you want to throw out there, but that young man is more mature than you, even though you are double his age. What? Don't get mad, get better. Don't get mad, get better. So it's just, like I said, it's so nice to see guys very tickled about their partner, their wife, respect her and they love her, and they look forward to, y'all cleaning up the kitchen together after dinner, and they look forward to who's going to pop the popcorn when we watch a movie tonight. You cuddled up on the couch watching a movie. And you enjoy it. Anybody could get married, but can you step up to the plate? Are you capable of love, or is there a big stone, cold rock where your heart should be? And it is a business contract. So the commercialism, we have to kind of blow that off, because a lot of companies make a lot of money during significant areas of your life. So when you're born, somebody makes a killing. A lot of money to have a baby, right? When you get, you're going to graduate from wherever and whatever, you got to have the right outfit. Somebody going to make money. When you get married, somebody's going to make a boatload of money off of commercialism. The tuxedo and all this, the tuxedos for all the men, and the dresses, the women have to get the dresses, and, the shoes and the jewelry and the hair stuff and the this and that, Somebody makes a freaking boatload of money because they are taking advantage of your milestone, and they know that commercialism works. They play off of your emotions, just like when someone dies and you go to the funeral home, and you're trying to pick out the casket or whatever. They're going to try to sell you the most expensive, fancy casket, because they know that they're going to play off of your emotions, and you're going to want cousin Michael to have the nicest casket. Cousin Michael don't know if he's getting the best or not, because he's no longer here. He's gone. Gone. That's more for the people that are alive. The person who died doesn't know nothing about how many flowers are there, how many people showed up. They don't know, and they don't care. They're not here anymore, okay? But again, somebody makes a ton of money off of your situation. I'm not down with that. I think it's disgusting to yank on someone's wallet when they're emotional, but that's the way it rolls. That's what people do. When you're born, they make a lot of money. When you die, or get married or, have babies, whatever it is, somebody makes a boatload of money. You go on a honeymoon, people make a boatload of money. Speaking of that, okay, so I can't remember the guy's name. Maybe one day I'll accidentally run across one of his videos. He's like a professional traveler, and he's got videos on YouTube. I don't remember his name. He doesn't do a lot of talking at all. But honey, he literally takes you through the video to the Maldives, to beautiful resorts on the ocean, in the ocean. And he shows you everything. So if you were to ever go there, you feel like you've already been there. He doesn't do a lot of talking because that would basically ruin it. He's got appropriate music, and you find yourself mentally on a vacation, and you're just like in awe of the beauty of the ocean and the I don't know what they're called, but they're houses that are, in the water, and the beauty is just totally unreal. But I'm going to tell you, speaking of a lot of money, a lot of these resorts, you got to be careful if you go to these resorts because, and I've done this when I traveled back in the day, those resorts are beautiful. They're right on the water and this and that. They've got professional chefs. They've got professional this and that. They've got all these shops that you could go to, little boutiques and shops. And, you could play golf out there, whatever it is that you into, you could do, swim in the ocean, swim with dolphins, whatever it is that you're into. However, a lot of them are money guzzlers. They are going to take every dime out of your wallet. And the reason I say that is because, and I noticed that because I watched a couple of his videos. If I ever come across him, I will. I haven't watched his video in a long time, his videos in a long time, but he's amazing. He takes you right there. But the common thread that I noticed, and this isn't going to be every resort, but number one, some of the islands are not even natural islands. They're man-made. That may not bother you. I prefer natural, all natural when possible. Number two, a lot of them are tourist traps, meaning you don't have the ability, depending on where the resort is located, you don't have the ability to go shop where the locals shop. You can't go to the grocery store so that you're not going to the fancy restaurant every day because the fancy restaurant is the only choice you have. And I'm thinking to myself, holy mackerel. I'm looking at some of the prices on the menu and I'm thinking, let's say you're there for a week. Oh God, the money that you spend, because you cannot go to the grocery store where the locals shop because there are no locals there. The whole island is a resort island and it's limited to what it has. So it basically pushes you against the wall. You have to eat here or you don't eat unless you plan on fishing. And where you going to cook the fish? You may not have cooking ability in your, because they make money off of you going to the restaurant all the time. So I feel that an ideal place to go would be a place that gives you the option of shopping where the locals shop so you could save money and to go to the fancy restaurants, a couple days a week. Let's say you're there for a whole week. You might want to go to the restaurant twice or 3 times or whatever the case may be. But you want the option of going where the locals shop and the ability to cook things in your at the resort, at your place there, you get a little kitchenette and you could do your little thing because a lot of those are designed to take every dime you have. Now, if you're independently wealthy, obviously you don't care if you eat at the fancy restaurant every day and every morning, noon and night, you don't care because you got bank. Or you're going to ring up your credit card until you're crying on a plane going back home because you done spent way too much, okay? But yeah, you gotta be real careful. That's one thing I noticed about, about those places. You've got to watch your wallet because it's a tourist trap. You have no choices. You got to go to their restaurant every day. Now, are they top of the line? Oh, yes. They're professionally trained. These people are very, very professionally trained. They go to culinary school. They come out with their degrees and everything else. These meals are professionally done. But you do want options because eating there every day, a couple times a day, is not going to be feasible. It's just not. Now, when you go on a cruise, your meals are included. The only thing that isn't included, depending on the package that you have, but the only thing that isn't included is your gratuity, which is your tips. Okay? But when you're limited on your choices, your options, yes, it's beautiful, but I'm not digging the setup because y'all not giving me any choices, and I'm not digging that, Customers always want choices. So that's that. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. And I'm going to tell you one more thing, too, that someone had said. She's a traveler. She said, when you go on a cruise ship, and I love cruises. I've been on 2 cruises to the Bahamas each time, and it was fantastico. I love it. I love it. You could get addicted. They're basically like a city on the water. Basically, it has everything you would ever want on the ship. You can eat 24 hours a day. Food, and it's not going to cost you a fortune. The food, oh my God, forget about it. Okay, it's just wow. One of the girls on YouTube said, when you stay at a cruise, if you get a cabin that has a deck, and you could sit out there and watch the ocean while the cruise ship is, going across and this and that. She said the ambiance of that is great, but watch what you talk about. Don't talk about nothing private because the cabins are super close together. And if you sitting out on your deck and talking about something private, your finances, or you talk about whatever it is that you're talking about, your neighbors can hear you. So watch what you say. They're very close proximity to you, and you need to watch what you say. Also, a thing that I noticed that people do, and this is just an observation, they have to be flashy. And you know what? Look here. Unless you want problems, don't be flashy. Don't tell people, and I've said this for years on my channel, don't be bragging about how much money you make and we've got 2 Jaguars and our own personal plane and a private plane. No. Don't advertise all that. That's how people get robbed. That's how people get murdered. Oh, I'm gonna, I want some money at the casino. Shut your pie hole. Do not advertise that. Stop it. Stop it. Okay? Do not wear your most expensive watch on the cruise ship or when you go on vacation or you go to Italy or whatever. You do not wear your most expensive things and because you're just asking for it. People from other countries, and I know this, I just learned through the years and was cognizant of it. When you go to other places, they assume, especially if you're American, they assume that you came over here because you got bank. So you be a good target. I didn't have bank. I just saved money. And when I looked online and was trying to get a good price, everything was getting higher and higher and higher. I said, screw this. I'm going to contact a travel agent. And she gave me a better deal. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to see what I can, what prices I can get for you. And then I'll call you with what I find. And I said, okay, cool. She called me and she quoted me a price. And I said, when can I pick the tickets up? She said, you can come pick them up this evening. I will be there this evening to see you. And I picked them up because I wasn't going to get yanked. You don't need to have big wads of money out. You don't need to be getting overly intoxicated. You don't need to be wearing the most expensive watch that everybody knows when they glance at it that you got bank. Um, you just don't, you know, make sure your purse is in front of your body. Like nowadays, they have a sling type of deal that you can wear in front of your body. So if someone were to try to do something like pickpocket, they, you know what I mean? That you can see what's going on, whatever. A lot of ladies, is very important. If you are married or you are engaged, you might want to wear a ring that maybe looks like your ring, but it's not real, or one that's less expensive so you can leave your real diamonds at home. It's just certain things that you want to do. And people have gotten wasted off their gourd and have gotten murdered on a ship. And to this day, those crimes have not been solved. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're asking for it. And if you get overly intoxicated and you start running your mouth, bad things can happen. Everybody you talk to is not a nice person. Okay? Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.